Hello honeys! I've collected all 40 idol and unit auras featured in the Aikatsu anime, and I put them all together for you. Enjoy! Mizuki. So first I just want to clarify that for consistency and fairness, I'm giving more weight to the auras that represent each idol at their best. So for Mizuki, although I think her initial gold rose aura is fine, her final aura is the one I find lacking. The roses are red and gold, the moons are blue, the lights are a purple and pink gradient, which makes a really awkward color palette. There's also a huge style gap between the pixelated light strands and the more ornate moons. It all looks too random to fit top idol. 39. Starlight Girls. Starlight Girls is the aura for any group of Starlight Academy students and is just a bunch of cascading rainbow stars. It's super simple and pretty easy to miss, so it's at the bottom too. 38. Nono. Nono's aura highlights another one of my criteria for this ranking, visibility. It's not the most important factor, but an aura should be visible in most shots for it to be a useful visual effect. It should also avoid obscuring the character's performance. The ruffles and pom-poms of Nono's aura hide her dancing and costume from some angles. In others, you can only barely see the pearls and stars behind her. 37. Lisa. Lisa's aura has the same ruffles and pom-poms as Nono's, but I rank Lisa's higher because it uses black bows that are more visible. The ruffles being a lighter color also helps a little at lightening the visual weight of the aura, but it's not that big a difference. 36. Xion. I got a whole movie's worth of footage for this one shot of Xion's aura. It has blue diamonds, green planets, and blue and green stars. This one is really cute. I couldn't put it any higher since it's literally only seen once for a few seconds and isn't even animated, but I do think it suits her really well. 35. Vanilla Chili Pepper. Vanilla Chili Pepper gives us our next ranking criteria, big points, meaning points for just being really big. Do I think sugar cookies, LED pixel graphics, rose petals, and jewelry pieces look good together? No. But is this visual effect grand in scale and animated in an interesting way? Yes. You can see this aura clearly in most shots and it doesn't get in the way, so my only critique is the mismatch of props. 34. Ichigo, Mizuki, and Akari. The aura for Ichigo, Mizuki, and Akari's unnamed unit gets big points, but not much else. It sits pretty far in the background, so it's not visible from some angles. We only see it in a single stripe of floating flowers and a few other small props, so it doesn't make a very big impact. 33. Mikuru. Mikuru's aura is pretty. I like the cascading yellow pixels, and they suit her really well. The stars and diamonds are also cute. I know they're probably supposed to be candy, but they do seem a little generic to me. A lot of other characters use the same kind of shapes, which makes Mikuru's aura a lot less unique. 32. Luminous. Luminous's aura is another one that mostly gets big points. Akari's heart aura is so dominant that it's almost all you can see. If you squint, you might be able to catch some of Hinaki's neon stars or Sumire's mosaic cubes, and I'm not that sold on the balance. It does make the overall aura more cohesive, but I'm not sure it counts as a good unit aura if what you can see is 90% Akari. 31. Passion Jalapeno. Hinaki's neon shooting stars show up a lot better in Passion Jalapeño's aura. Juri's flower petals help fill up the space around them, and they simplified both of the individual auras down to those two elements. Again, this does make the overall aura look more cohesive, but still not the most creative way to combine them. 30. Maria. Maria's aura has a little more creativity to it, but I don't think they've committed to it as much as they could have. The transparent tiara, carriage, and castle models are really interesting, but without any animation they still end up looking a little boring. The red flowers that contribute more movement are nice for filling space, but they do look pretty generic for Aikatsu. 29. Amafua Nadeshiko. Amafua Nadeshiko is another simple one. I think they've done a good job combining Miyabi's purple and white flowers with Kokone's green and purple hard candies. The elements are spread out enough that you can almost always see either the main props or the secondary smaller shapes, and if they do obscure the characters, it's only a tiny amount. Pretty good. 28. Soleil. Soleil's aura is mostly this high up because it's huge. It's very dramatic, but I find the combination of elements to look kind of lazy. The members' individual auras don't really fit well together thematically, so it'd be nice if the main trio were given a more unique aura to show the character of their unit as a whole. 27. Sarah. Sarah's aura has always been a little strange to me. I think the guitar pick and chain motif works, but I don't think I would have caged her in with them. Sarah is a pretty friendly and outgoing character, and I think her aura makes her seem a lot more isolated when she performs in a group. However, I do think it solves the visibility problem pretty well, since the draped chains are easy to see through and there are plenty of pink musical notes to float around her for extra visual interest. 26. Hinaki. Hinaki's aura is also fine in terms of visibility and has some really nice animation, but the prop design looks a little awkward to me. I'm not sure why they went with a grid pattern on the beach balls, and the red and yellow streaks on the smaller spheres makes me think they're marbles, but that isn't as clear as it could be. Maybe those elements are more recognizable to a Japanese audience, but I can't say for sure. 25. Madoka. Madoka's aura has feathers, pink and purple cardsuit symbols, and giant sugar cookies. I'm not sure how I feel about the cookies. They do rotate, so even if they pass in front of the character, they only briefly obscure her performance. Even if I'm not totally sold on these horizontal rings of large props, at least the sugar cookies are cute. 24. Akari. I have a really split opinion on Akari's aura. Overall, I think the hearts are almost always too opaque and hide too much of her. The flowers are nice, and the space around her is always filled very well, but when you put Akari in a group performance, her aura is way too dense. That's probably to show her strength as an idol, but I definitely don't like it. Her earlier aura had really nicely spaced elements, and although I didn't really like those prop designs either, I think a looser particle dispersal works better for Aikatsu performances. 23. Sumire. Sumire's props are also pretty random in my opinion, but at least they have a vague spiritual aesthetic to match her fortune-telling and gothic style. The spiky orbs are stylized suns, and the mosaic cubes look a lot like stained glass windows to me. The shards of crystal are also a really nice alternative to flower petals for a smaller scale organic element. It's nice that the ring they make around her is slanted to be lower in the front and higher in the back. That's a great way to maximize visibility. 22. Juri. Juri's flower petals are probably the most effective at filling space. She kind of gets big points even just by herself. I'm less happy with the design of those floating jewelry pieces though. Pink and purple vague flower shapes, really? You'd think they'd at least make them red and gold to fit her personal color palette better. 21. Aoi. I've always liked that Aoi's aura formed two rings around her, kind of like a planet's rings but offset. I've mentioned before that I don't really like the use of snowflakes as a motif for her. I know it's because she's a cool type idol, but I'd love to see a more sci-fi or futuristic element there instead. Still, for what it is, I think Aoi's aura works perfectly fine. 20. Ki. Did you know that one of the bubbles in Ki's aura has a toy alien inside of it? I was pretty impressed by the animated pony at first, but see if you can spot the alien. It's really cool. I'm kind of giving Ki a pass here since her aura is so small and sparse, but I can tell the design team had fun with it, and that's really important to me. 19. Orihime. Orihime's flower and diamond aura isn't that original, but with those beautiful glowing butterflies I had to give it big points. It's a cohesive set of props that fill the space really well, and the butterflies add such a great level of detail to the animation. I couldn't put it any lower. 18. Ringo. Weirdly enough, I like Ringo's simpler aura more than Orihime's. Maybe it's because her less detailed flowers fit this nostalgic retro vibe that both of them are going for. Simpler flowers also means less distraction from the butterflies, which are clearly the stars of the show. 17. Nina. Nina's aura is similar to Ki's in that even though it's really sparse, I kind of love the creative direction they were going with it. The animated squiggles are really unique and have a nice design being headed by yellow spheres, almost like that's the contact point of the brush or pen. It tells the doodle inspiration really well. Admittedly, the orange bow candies don't do enough to keep the aura visible in some shots, but I like the concept enough to overlook that. 16. Otome. I was kind of surprised by Otome's aura. I didn't realize how much the animated wrapped candies added to the performance till I also noticed how small the oranges, gingerbread men, and pears are in comparison. Those smaller elements are noticeable and do take enough space in the background, but the bouncing of the candies attracts so much attention that they're what you remember even if they're not in frame as much. 15. Kokone. Kokone's aura is very simple in concept. It's almost exclusively green, purple, and orange candies. But that simplicity is actually really effective, especially since it's also a ring that's angled up in the back. It frames her nicely from almost every angle and isn't distracting. That's all you need. 14. Pawa Pawa Puririn. Pawa Pawa Puririn is a great example of what I wanted from Soleil's aura. Here we have elements from each member: Otome's bouncing candies, Sakura's pink flowers, and Shion's diamonds and hair ribbons. It's interesting that Shion's ribbons aren't used in her own aura, but let's move past that for now. The colors of each element have been edited to be more cohesive with one another, which is important for a unit. The overall impact makes them all look like they belong together, so beyond just being big, this aura looks like a harmony between the members. 13. Eureka. Eureka's aura is probably one of the most iconic in Aikatsu, and part of what makes her performances so memorable. I do think the black feathers and bows are a little sparse, and have the same issues I've talked about with other low-lying auras, but the chandelier around her really works. For the visibility issues, it's a transparent prop so it doesn't obscure her too much, and for her character, a prop like this perfectly communicates that this is a person who keeps others at a distance. The chandelier is smaller in her group performances, but that concept is still clear. 12. Ron. I really love the butterflies and coins in Ron's aura. I think they've been one of the strongest elements since the beginning of the show, and they're at their best when they're flying in rings around her. They're really big and bold, but just sparse enough that they aren't distracting. They also do a great job at showing Ron's luxurious taste and hint at her favorite brand, spicy agaha. Agaha is the Japanese name for a swallowtail butterfly. 11. Dancing Diva. Dancing Diva is mostly up here for big points. Their aura has Rin's LED sound waves and stars, and Sumiri's mosaic cubes, crystal shards, and stylized suns. But it also has these transparent white flower petals that fill up way more of the stage than the main auras do. It's not the most cohesive combination of props, but it works pretty well, and the grand scale is genuinely impressive. 10. Skips. Skips is another unit that I'm mostly praising for creativity, even if it's super brief. Their aura has Monaco's card suit symbols and feathers, and Akari's hearts, which have taken on a bright primary color scheme. But it also has iridescent clouds, which are tragically too high above them to be seen from most angles. This one element fits their unit so well that I'm shocked that they didn't move it down so it would be more visible. 9. WM. I've been a little negative about both Mizuki and Mikuru's auras. I still don't really think the roses and geometric shapes are all that unique, but it's the cascading pixel lights that deserve all the credit here. They're so pretty and do so well at filling up space while also adding movement, and they're not distracting either. In fact, both Mizuki and Mikuru having pretty generic individual auras means that together they work perfectly fine. They both have such a shiny, gummy texture to their props that my brain just accepts that they work together. 8. Twings. Yes, Twings is here for big points, but they do combine their auras really well. Ichigo's pink and yellow flowers are pretty dominant, but Seira's pink hearts and purple musical notes fill up plenty of space. I like that Seira no longer has the chains surrounding her, which makes it feel like she's opened up a lot, and the spiral shape of the aura is also a novel element for Aikatsu. I like it. 7. TriStar. TriStar's aura is big, it has the cascading pixel lights I love, and it uses Eureka's chandelier in a creative way to incorporate Mizuki's crescent moons. Just like with Seira, this also gives the impression that Eureka has opened up to her group members. Kaede mostly just contributes multicolored stars and hearts, but her blue teddy bears are there if you look for them. This is another great example of how you can show groups unity through their unit aura. 6. Sora. Sora has a ring of pom-poms that should be a visibility problem, right? Well, no. The pom-poms are transparent and they're spaced out enough that they're only ever covering a tiny part of her. They're also spread out behind her in a pointed shape so they're always filling space around her. To contrast the pom-poms, she has crocheted art and ornate jewelry pieces that add some extra visual interest. I think her aura shows a lot of her interest and personality, which I love to see. 5. Rin. Rin's LED sound waves and stars are such a perfect idea for an aura. They emphasize the music as well as her personal style, and their animation makes it easy to see them when otherwise you probably wouldn't. The blue stars are a more generic supporting element, but they work well for Rin since stars are also included in the LED sections. 4. Kaede. I love the teddy bear leaving a rainbow trail in Kaide's aura, and the toy rocket ship leaving a more subtle red trail. It's the perfect balance of spiraling animation and creative prop design. Then there's the teddy bear riding a star, and the other multicolored stars, and the overall impact is so fun. It really suits Kaide's playful personality, and even though these are really creative props, they're also sparse enough that they aren't distracting. 3. Miyabi. Miyabi's aura combines a lot of the elements I've praised so far. Bouncing tamari balls that make a big impact, large purple and white flowers that match the traditional Japanese theme, and the arrangement of free-floating elements in a vertical screen behind the performer. All of these elements are highly visible and perfectly represent Miyabi as a character. It's beautiful. 2. Ichigo. As much as I love Ichigo, she is really only this high up for big points. She has the largest aura in the series, creating a giant tornado of pink and yellow flowers that fills an entire stadium stage all by itself. I'm admittedly not the biggest fan of the heart string with flowers and ribbons or the beaded bows, but the diamonds and musical notes added in the movie are nice, even if they aren't very original. A big part of an aura is the scale and impact, so I do think the movie version deserves its top 2 spot. 1. Sakura. If originality is what we've been lacking so far on this list, Sakura is here to save us. Sure, her pink and yellow flowers are pretty much the same as everyone else's, but the sprouting plants and vines in her aura are completely unique. Her aura is at its best in her first and last solo performances, where the plants are giant and spiraling elements that fill the space around her in a super dynamic way. Their blue and pink gradient color scheme gives them a surreal fantasy look, and they make Sakura seem like a very powerful and almost ethereal character. I love the complexity of the animation too. Let me know your favorite auras in the comments below and look out for my featuring girl deep dive next week. Bye bye!
全速前進目標ギャラクシースターライトだぜイエー